Eagles at Saints. I fear this is another spot where everybody is going to be against me. I said last week that I believe in Big Dick Nick very much. He came through for me, and I'm going back to the Big Dick well. I'm taking Eagles on the spread, and I'm also taking the Eagles to win straight up. Open Saints -9 now, Saints -8 across the board. Total open to 51 now, a mix of 51s and 51.5s. I feel like this spread is disrespectful to Big Dick Nick. I feel this is disrespectful to the Super Bowl champion. Breeze's arm, to me, looked like it was getting tired late in the season. I know he's had 2 weeks rest, but if you watched him closely those last few games, his passes didn't have a lot of juice. Is it possible the Saints might take the Eagles a little bit lightly after that 48-7 trashing? Can Nick Foles win 3 road playoff games in a row? Probably not. The Eagles have won outright in each of Foles' past 6 starts as an underdog. 4 of those wins coming in the postseason. The Eagles are playing the best ball of the year. Saints finished in the top 5 in the league in rushing and passing offense for the 2nd year in a row. Breeze posted a league-leading 89.7 total QBR in home games this season, the 2nd highest since ESPN began tracking it. Highest is Aaron Rodgers in 2011. Saints had a 30.4 defensive efficiency at home, 2nd worst in the league. Over is 9-0 in Saints' 9 postseason games. Saints at home have averaged 40 points per game in the last 5 games Breeze has played. They're 5-0 at the Superdome in the playoffs. And I'm concerned to hear your guys' breakdown. I'm concerned. But nothing excites me more than Donnie Rightside breaking down Eagles games. Donnie, am I nuts?
I don't know if you're nuts on this one, but last week looking at the game, I mean, styles make fights again in that game last week. I didn't think the Eagles would win, and the double doink helped us, move on to yet another round. But I thought the Eagles would be able to keep it close within the 6.5, just the way the Chicago players. I mean, the Bears play great defense, and they don't lean on their offense to score points. They lean on their offense to keep them in the game and not make mistakes. And I think the Eagles played right along with that and did very well. But when you're looking at the Philadelphia Eagles and saying, like, hey, Nick Foles is a good quarterback, I understand that. He is a really good quarterback. But when you're looking from a pressure position standpoint there, they played a very good game against the Houston Texans and almost blew that game. Why? Because Deshaun Watson, down the stretch, was a capable passer. He was able to elude the pass rush, which is the best part about the Eagles' defense, and feast on that secondary. Then you had the Eagles go on the road and beat Washington. Yeah, they shut him out. Great performance. That was like a midget football league, type of offense that Washington was running by the end of the year with the amount of injuries and the players and the personnel they had. Then you went into the playoffs and you said, okay, well, we're going to get the Chicago Bears. The offense isn't, a humming machine that hangs 35 points a week. They want to score anywhere between 21 to 24 points and say our defense is the best in the league, and we're going to win those football games. That completely changes again this week. In order for the Eagles to win this football game, Jimmy, we're going to have to see a game, to me, similar to what you saw in the Super Bowl where Nick Foles goes nuclear. 380 yards, 4 touchdown passes. Because the one thing that the Eagles are going to struggle with in this football game is lining up toe-to-toe with the offense of New Orleans. Very good offensive line. So will they be able to shut down the Eagles' pass rush? Probably not. But they're going to be able to isolate matchups in the secondary similar to what they did in that 48-7 romp. Now you say, well, wait a second. Saints only gave up 7 points, so they should be able to lean on their defense. Nick Foles in this offense completely different heading into this football game than what you were with Carson Wentz. Carson Wentz was holding the ball longer, therefore you can get to him because the Saints do have a decent pass rush, strip sack fumbles, forced plays, interceptions. That all took place in the dome. What Nick Foles is going to give you, yeah, he's going to throw an interception or two, but he's going to get the ball out quickly. You're not going to have as many chances to sack him, and if the last game was any determination, the Saints were getting pressure. Why is that? Lane Johnson's one of the best right tackles in football. He was on one leg playing with a high ankle sprain. He's completely healthy in this one. If you've seen it over the past couple weeks, that Eagles front line is formidable. They can't run the ball, the Philadelphia Eagles. They have no play. Like, Darren Sproles is a nice player. He's like 38 years old. He can run around real quick, and he should be a little bit of an asset on turf. Wendell Smallwood is atrocious. Jalen Adams is atrocious back there as a running back. The Eagles are going to throw this ball 35 to 40 times and pull no stops. So before I get into the side here, points in this one. I think they're going to go way over the total in this one. Both teams approaching or surpassing 30 points in this one.
Wow, a lot of people agreeing with that over on the chat. Whale Capper, very interested to hear your breakdown here.
So number one, I gotta say, first of all, actually, Jimmy, way to throw us for a loop with the Saints hat, and then come out and say Big Dick Nick Foles is gonna win the game. Here I am thinking, oh, this is
He's
gonna be
voodoo.
interesting. Here, yeah, oh, no. And so yeah, so we go with a little bit cooler. Donnie's not feeling confident in the Eagles to the tune of they're gonna win. They're gonna score points. I got good news for Jimmy. If you like Nick Foles in this game, if you think he can win, if you think he can cover, you're going to love what I have to say next. Nick Foles has no chance in this game. He has no chance, and he is going home. It is over. The Nick Foles dream run of playoff wins is over. It's over. I cannot bury him fast enough. This guy continues to beat me on the football field somehow. I did not have proper respect for him last week. I was a dead man walking last week anyway, because not only was I against Donnie on the Eagles and the Bears pick, which has been a bad sign for me over the course of the show. But on top, I'm backing Mitch Trubisky as a first year quarterback in a really relatively tight game. That was a poor pick by me. Got an under, which balanced it out a little bit, but still it was a bad play. This week, completely different scenario. The Eagles, I would take absolutely no part of in terms of either being competitive in this game or scoring points. I think the Saints defense is underrated. I think their ability to rush the passer is underrated. I think their coverage is maligned, but you have an absolutely outstanding cover corner in Lattimore, who's going to take away maybe the key piece for Nick Foles, which is Alshon Jeffrey. I would expect to see Nick Foles get shook by a couple of early picks in this one and play a lot more conservatively than we've seen in the past, which isn't going to work when you're down by 14 points to Drew Brees and the Saints in the Superdome. This place is going to be absolutely rocking on Sunday. This is the part one of a 3-part play that is the coronation of Drew Brees as he heads into retirement probably, and Sean Payton heads into whatever he does next. But the Saints are without a doubt the highest likelihood team to win the Super Bowl, the way I handicap the rest of the NFL and the teams that are available and the paths to victory. And this is a spot where I do not think they mess around. I do not think the motivational angle of the fact that they showed no mercy against the Eagles in the first matchup, I don't think that comes into play whatsoever. I think you have a very confident Saints team deliver a beating here. If I had to look at a total, I'm probably looking at an under, because I don't think the Eagles break 17 points in this one. Their team total is a little too low for me to get involved with. I think this game ends somewhere around 31-17. 35-17, something like that. I think it looks probably a lot like what we saw Saints Falcons on Thanksgiving night. I don't know if you remember that game, but I think this is that'll be kind of the same way that this game plays out, where the Eagles are playing from behind and trying to make desperation plays the whole time, and it just doesn't seem to be working out, and people are scratching their heads like, I thought Nick Foles was a good playoff quarterback. Where's the clutch? What's going on? This is all, my hopefulness, obviously, because I need Nick Foles out of the playoffs. I can't take this anymore. Get out of here, buddy. Get out of here and give me back some of my money. And let's go, Saints.
How do you not believe in this guy, Nick Foles? I don't know how you don't believe in him. I believe in him. Donnie right side. I feel after breaking down all these games with you guys that I should make no bet this weekend. Donnie, final thoughts.
You're playing with house money. Yeah, final thoughts on this game.
Yeah, you're the high hand. Yeah, man, you're the high hand. Don't lose your confidence just because we don't agree with you.
Well, it's not just you guys; it's the entire chat. But
well, we're tilting the pot here, man. This is not a fair fight necessarily. we're definitely ganging up on you, I would say.
Donnie, make me feel better. Final thoughts.
Look, I've been wrong a lot on the Eagles, winning games or being able to pull games out or not having the right feel in them, but it's been pretty close. And this number just seems about right at -8, because to me, honestly, when I take a reflective look and just not being a homer and say, because I've bet against the Eagles and bet against the Eagles in circumstances, but I still root for them because they're my favorite team. But in an honest assessment here, when it comes down to the fourth quarter with the Eagles covering this game, you're more likely to see the Eagles trying to cover a back door in this game than you will say, let's just say 34-31 Eagles. And I hope I'm wrong in every way being an Eagles fan, but that's just the way I see it. The Dome down there with Drew Brees, It's one of the more this isn't just played in like a vacuum where you're just going to line up on a high school field and get after it. You have a decided advantage where you can't hear on one side of the ball. That's such an advantage, and it shows with Drew Brees and his playoff numbers at home. Drew Brees in prime time type games, big situations at home, he always comes up big. And when you look at these teams when they match up, the offensive line should be completely healthy for the New Orleans Saints. A running back that can take it to the distance and torch the Eagles in the first game in Alvin Kamara. A hammer at running back in Ingram. And also, let's not forget, which I know I caught some heat on Twitter for this one. Michael Thomas is a really good wide receiver. And I know Ted Ginn is old, but when you look at what Ted Ginn does for the New Orleans offense, he only played 5 games this year. But in those 5 games that he played with Drew Brees, they were 90 passing yards better per game that Ted Ginn played than when he didn't. And the Eagles secondary is so susceptible to getting beat deep in this. Ted Ginn is going to run in a straight line 45 times in this game and completely open up the middle of the field. Team total over for the New Orleans Saints. I even think the team total, I'm a little bit against Whale Capper in this one. I just see a lot of points in this one because New Orleans isn't going to let up. They're not just going to run the football and keep the Eagles out there. And I think the Eagles throw the kitchen sink. I'm talking 4th and 5s on their own 45 where you can't punt back to New Orleans if you want to beat them. I just see some mayhem going on that's really going to help you hit that total in this one. More than a side there, which I think the Eagles can cover, but in a backdoor situation, I just can't see both of these offenses letting up here. I just think they both get into the 30s, just the way I feel about it.
It's interesting because my initial breakdown was, just watching the Saints play in the second half. I was actually kind of leaning towards the under, with Whale Capper. But hearing your breakdown here, listening to everybody, reading everybody on the TAD, I'm certainly not going to make that bet now. Certainly not going to make that bet now. And even the Eagles straight up, I mean, you're getting 300 plus 300 or better. Just seems appealing, but it's hard to make those. And I've not been doing it this year. I've not been making those big balls bets. I've been hanging on just getting the points and just enjoying the game rather than, losing your mind over actually winning outright. Whale Capper, final thoughts, final divisional game of the week, Eagles at Saints.
Well, first of all, don't get your points were valid on why you would back the Eagles. I don't think that I don't think you have a weak case at all. I don't think you're looking at trends that are meaningless, or you're looking at real information, which I think is somewhat valid. Like, Drew Brees has worn down both of the last 2 seasons. Clearly, Sean Payton has completely shifted his offensive approach to be more reliant on the short pass, more reliant on the running back, because he wants to keep Brees's arm somewhat intact, and they knew they needed home field advantage to have a shot at the Super Bowl. They knew it, right? They pushed hard through that middle of the season, getting impressive wins against the Rams, against the Eagles, against the Vikings. They played some tough teams and they beat them, right? They gave it all throughout that middle of the season. And without a doubt, were they running on fumes a little bit when they got to the Cowboys game and they got beat on the road? Absolutely. Were they running on fumes a little bit as they kind of were able to eke out wins against the Panthers? Absolutely. All of that said, they've had 2 weeks to rest and prepare for this. Sean Payton, Drew Brees are extremely experienced quarterback and coach right there. And this tandem has their eyes on the prize. And this game will be the passing of the torch from the previous Super Bowl champions to this year's Super Bowl champions, in my opinion. And if they don't get the cover, it is what it is. But I really feel like this game comes down to, say, 31-17. Saints get a win. And, I think, kind of like Donnie laid out, the Eagles are going to have to be risk takers in this one. I just don't see them converting these 4th and 5s in their own territory. I think they, in the second half of this game, you're hoping that they get back in and, the Saints make the key stops because they have the home field advantage. They have the crowd behind them. This is not a trivial home field advantage for the Saints. It absolutely matters. And we have not seen the Eagles get a truly impressive road win, in my opinion. I hang last week's win more on Nagy's offensive philosophy and Mitch Trubisky playing poorly through the first half of that game than I really want to give the Eagles credit for. Is that sour grapes because I have a personal problem with Nick Foles at this point? Maybe. But here it is what it is. And if you want to back the hot hand and Nick Foles, clearly the team is playing better for him for some reason. I can't explain it. There's something that goes on in that locker room motivationally where they have confidence in themselves. They play hard for this guy. I just don't think it's going to matter on the road in this situation against a team that is prepared and rested and, has the tools to hit them where they can get hurt.
I hear that. I absolutely hear that. Just one last note. I want to ask Donnie this. Barry Miller says Eagles looked very good on D last week. My man Jose says anyone looks good on D against the Bears. Donnie, does the Eagles defense stand any chance at slowing the Saints down?
Well, I mean, it's hard. I don't know how many teams actually can slow the Saints down overall, because when you looked at the game last week, the Bears had a pretty, concerted effort to say, let's lean on our defense at home. We still have a young quarterback. Let's not make that big mistake. And you saw once the Bears sort of started to open it up, throwing double moves and down the field, they were moving the football against the Eagles defense. You don't think Sean Payton's sitting back here going, this team bites so much on double moves, we're going to run like 30 of them at here and just have them guessing all the way all across the field. When you get aggressive versus the Eagles secondary, really, really good things happen. And good quarterbacks and good offensive lines can do that. Look, there's no Jalen Mills back there. There's no, Ron Darby. You're down to guys who have played out of their minds the past couple weeks. But when you talk about playing out of their minds, again, it was the Washington offense and it was the Bears offense. You're in a dome on a fast track against maybe the best quarterback of all time with a lights-out play caller. It's going to get interesting in the dome for sure.
Oh, it's going to be just an incredible week of football.
Hey guys, thanks for tuning in to our channel. Now, we've put a lot of work into producing all these free videos, so please help us out and keep all our content free for you forever by simply liking, sharing, commenting, and subscribing. Now, not to mention, a visit to our industry-leading website will warm the hearts of all our SBR employees, especially myself. Now, the links are over there to the left, so do check those out. Thanks for watching.